Addiction doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come to you with a warning label or a timeline. It starts small. A drink. A pill. Something to take the edge off. And then one day you wake up and the substance owns you completely. It tells you when to wake up. It tells you when you can sleep. It decides whether you show up to work or call in sick. It is your entire life. These are stories about 25 performers who experienced that complete takeover. Not the headlines version, not the career death version, but the actual daily reality of what it looks like when a person is trapped inside an addiction so severe that the substance becomes more important than food, than family, than the work that made them famous. These are not stories about people who were weak. These are stories about people who were completely overpowered by something more powerful than their will. If you want more on the real lives behind the shows you grew up with, subscribe. 1. Matthew Perry. Matthew Perry played Chandler Bing on Friends, which ran on NBC from 1994 to 2004. He was on one of the biggest shows in the history of television. He was in front of 20 million viewers every week. And for the last 8 years of the show, he was fighting a daily war with addiction that nearly killed him. It started with a jet ski accident in 1997. He broke his shoulder. The pain was real. The doctors prescribed Vicodin. He took it. The pain went away, but something else happened too. The anxiety went away. The constant pressure of being on the biggest show on television went away. For the first time, there was relief. By 2000, he was taking Vicodin, alcohol, and whatever else he could get his hands on to maintain that feeling. He would show up to set at 6 in the morning and immediately begin the calculation of how much he could take without being visibly impaired. His weight fluctuated wildly. His face changed. Fans noticed. The producers noticed. Nobody could do anything about it. He was the show. The show could not stop. By 2004, his body was failing. His teeth were rotting. His organs were screaming. He checked into rehab 5 times. Each time he left and went right back. The addiction owned every moment. 2. Jodie Sweetin. Jodie Sweetin played Stephanie Tanner on Full House, which ran on ABC from 1987 to 1995. She was 9 years old when the show premiered. She was famous before she understood what fame was. She had money she didn't earn. She had access to things that adults didn't have access to. By age 14, she was drinking, not experimenting, not trying it at a party, drinking regularly. The emptiness that came when the cameras stopped rolling had to be filled with something. Alcohol filled it. By 16, she had moved on to methamphetamine and cocaine. She was a teenager with unlimited money and nobody watching her because everyone assumed she was fine. She has described days where she would wake up in strangers' houses with no memory of how she got there. Days where she didn't eat. Days where she couldn't remember her own name. She was working on television at the same time, showing up to set, doing her job, then going home and using until she blacked out. The addiction lasted through her 20s. The only thing that broke the cycle was hitting absolute bottom, and even then, recovery took years of work that most people will never understand. 3. River Phoenix. River Phoenix appeared on the 1982 sitcom 7 Brides for 7 Brothers before becoming a film star. He was a child actor who became a generation's ideal. Clean living, vegan, environmentally conscious. The perfect young man. Behind that image, he had been using cocaine and heroin since his teenage years. He was managing 2 completely separate lives. The public River Phoenix, who spoke about his values and his causes. The private River Phoenix, who was using multiple substances daily. The addiction was not casual. It was complete. He was using heroin regularly by his early 20s. He was using cocaine to manage the exhaustion that heroin caused. He was mixing substances in combinations that were actively destroying his body. On Halloween night in 1993, at age 23, he went to a nightclub on Sunset Boulevard. He collapsed on the sidewalk and went into violent seizures. His brother called 911. River Phoenix was pronounced dead at the hospital. The autopsy showed acute multiple substance intoxication. A combination of heroin, cocaine, and other drugs had stopped his heart. 4. Dana Plato. Dana Plato played Kimberly Drummond on Different Strokes, which ran on NBC from 1978 to 1986. She was a child actress on one of the most successful shows in television. She made millions, and by her teenage years, she was completely addicted to prescription pills. It started with painkillers, then sleeping pills, then anything that could change how she felt. She was mixing Vicodin with Valium, with alcohol, with anything else she could access. By her 20s, she had moved on to heroin. She was using needles. She was shooting up multiple times a day. The addiction progressed into the kind of desperation that makes people do things they never thought they would do. She was arrested. She was homeless. She was trading sex for money to buy heroin. She tried to get clean. She went to rehab. She left and used again immediately. By 1999, at age 32, she was found dead in a motorhome. The official cause was listed as a combination of pills and alcohol, though many believe it was intentional. The beautiful girl from Different Strokes had been ground down to nothing by the addiction. 5. Todd Bridges. Todd Bridges played Willis Jackson on Different Strokes alongside Dana Plato. He was famous from age 5 onward. He had everything. And by his late teens, crack cocaine had become the only thing that mattered. Crack is different from powder cocaine. It is cheaper. It is more addictive. It creates an intense, immediate high followed by an equally intense crash. The cycle is brutal. You use. You crash. You need to use again. There is no middle ground. By the late 1980s, Bridges was living in South Central Los Angeles in crack houses using multiple times a day. He was arrested repeatedly. He was convicted of drug possession. He was suspected of assault. He was a young black man destroyed by an epidemic that was ravaging urban America. The addiction lasted for years. The only thing that saved him was hitting absolute bottom and deciding that survival required completely leaving behind everyone and everything he had known and starting over from scratch. That decision came from inside him, not from treatment or intervention. 6. Jeff Conaway. Jeff Conaway played Bobby Wheeler on Taxi, which ran on ABC from 1978 to 1983. He was also in the movie Grease. He had legitimate talent, and he had a back injury from a skiing accident that began a decades-long nightmare with prescription painkillers. A doctor prescribed him opioid painkillers. They worked. The pain went away. But the pills also made him feel better in ways that had nothing to do with pain. They made anxiety disappear. They made insecurity disappear. They made the pressure of being an actor in Hollywood disappear. So he kept taking them. And then he needed more. And then he needed them more frequently. And then he started supplementing with cocaine to counteract the drowsiness. And then he was drinking to bring himself down from the cocaine. The cocktail of substances was destroying his body. By the 1990s, he was unemployable. By the 2000s, he was dead. The addiction that started with a legitimate medical problem had turned into a complete takeover of his entire existence. 7. Jeremy Jackson. Jeremy Jackson played Hobie Buchanan on Baywatch, which ran on NBC from 1989 to 2001. He was in front of millions of viewers. He was young and handsome and famous, and he was also completely addicted to methamphetamine. Methamphetamine is a drug that destroys the person using it almost immediately. It increases heart rate to dangerous levels. It causes paranoia. It causes hallucinations. It destroys teeth. It destroys the skin. It keeps you awake for days at a time until the crash is so severe that you sleep for 18 hours. Jackson was using it regularly. He was losing weight. His face was breaking out. His teeth were rotting. He was showing up late to work or not showing up at all. He was arrested multiple times for drug possession. Each arrest was a chance to stop. None of them worked. The addiction lasted for years. The only thing that saved him was eventually accepting help and committing to a recovery that required him to fundamentally change every single relationship in his life and every single habit he had. We are 1/4 of the way through, and the stories do not get lighter. If you are still watching, subscribe. There are 20 more. 8. Maureen McCormack. Maureen McCormack played Marcia Brady on The Brady Bunch, which ran on ABC from 1969 to 1974. She was America's sweetheart. The show was a massive hit, and after it ended, she was completely lost. When she was a teenager and young adult, cocaine was everywhere in Hollywood. It was at parties. It was in the clubs. It was with the people she knew. She tried it. It made her feel confident. It made her feel sexy. It made her feel like she was in control of her own life. She also started taking Quaaludes, a depressant that was popular in the 1970s. The combination of the two was catastrophic. She would be high, then crashing, then using again to prevent the crash. Her weight was changing. Her relationships were falling apart. She was barely functioning. The addiction lasted for years. She has spoken openly about the days she spent in the seediest parts of Hollywood chasing a high that never satisfied her. She has described the shame, the degradation, the complete loss of the person she had been. 9. Brett Butler. Brett Butler played Grace Kelly on Grace Under Fire, which ran on ABC from 1993 to 1998. The show was a massive hit, and while she was at the height of her fame, she was also completely addicted to Vicodin. She started taking the pills to manage pain. But the pain management became pleasure management. She was taking higher and higher doses. She was becoming dependent on them just to wake up in the morning. Without them, she experienced withdrawal. Without them, she could not get through the day. The addiction was affecting her work. She was showing up late. She was forgetting her lines. She was making the people around her miserable because her moods were completely unpredictable. She would snap at people for no reason. She would be charming and then suddenly cruel. The network eventually canceled the show because they could no longer manage working with her. She left Hollywood and moved to a farm in Georgia to try to recover. The recovery took years. The damage took longer. 10. Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen played Charlie Harper on 2.5 Men, which ran on CBS from 2003 to 2011. At one point, he was the highest-paid television actor in the world. He was earning almost $2 million per episode, and he was also completely addicted to cocaine and alcohol. The cocaine addiction was not recreational, it was complete. He was using every single day. He was using so much that his body was in constant danger. His heart was at risk of stopping. His mind was deteriorating. He was having paranoid thoughts. He was becoming violent. He was also drinking heavily. The combination of cocaine and alcohol is particularly dangerous because the two interact in the liver to create a compound called cocaethylene, which is more toxic than cocaine alone and keeps you high longer while destroying your organs more completely. His behavior became increasingly erratic. He showed up to work having not slept. He showed up still high from the night before. He was hospitalized. He was arrested. He was fired from the show. The addiction had taken over completely. 11. Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. appeared in television and film throughout the 1980s and 1990s. He was a genuinely talented actor who had promise. And he was also completely addicted to cocaine, heroin, and alcohol in combinations that would have killed most people. His addiction started in the 1980s and progressed throughout the 1990s. He was using multiple drugs daily. He was arrested repeatedly. He served jail time. Each time he got out, he went right back to using. The addiction was a complete takeover of his life. He could not hold a job. He could not maintain relationships. He was sleeping on people's couches. He was stealing to pay for drugs. He was doing things that the version of himself that had hope and dreams would have been horrified by. The turnaround came when he finally accepted that recovery meant genuinely changing everything about his life. Not just quitting drugs, but quitting the people, quitting the places, rebuilding from the ground up. It took years, but eventually he made it. 12. Freddie Prinze Sr. Freddie Prinze Sr. played Chico Rodriguez on Chico and the Man, which ran on NBC from 1974 to 1978. He was a rising star. He was on one of the biggest shows on television. And he was completely addicted to cocaine and Quaaludes. The cocaine made him feel powerful and confident. The Quaaludes made him feel calm and happy. Together, they created an illusion that he could manage the pressure of being a young star on a top 10 show. The illusion was a lie. By his early 20s, he was using multiple times a day. He was becoming paranoid. He was becoming violent. He was suicidal. The substances had created a perfect storm of depression and anxiety. In January 1977, at age 22, he put a gun to his head and pulled the trigger. The official ruling was suicide. The preceding months had been marked by heavy substance use and complete loss of hope. His newborn son was an infant. His career was just beginning. 13. Philip Seymour Hoffman. Philip Seymour Hoffman was a film actor of the highest caliber who appeared in the television series Happy-ish and in various TV guest spots. He was sober for 23 years. He had a family. He had achieved everything he wanted professionally. Then, in 2013, something broke. He relapsed on painkillers. The painkillers led back to heroin. He had not used heroin in 23 years, but the body remembers. The addiction is still there, waiting. Within months, he was using heroin daily. He was injecting it. He was spending his days in the fog of addiction. He was hiding it from his family. He was lying to everyone around him. The addiction had returned in full force. On February 2, 2014, he was found dead in his apartment. He was 46 years old. The needle was still in his arm. The autopsy showed acute mixed substance intoxication. The most respected actor of his generation had been killed by the addiction he thought he had beaten 23 years earlier. 14. Lenny Bruce. Lenny Bruce was a comedian and performer who appeared on television and in nightclubs throughout the 1950s and 1960s. He was revolutionary. He was dangerous. And he was completely addicted to heroin. He started using heroin as a young man. The addiction progressed over decades. He was using while performing. He was using while being arrested. He was using while being prosecuted for obscenity. The addiction and the legal persecution created an impossible situation. By the 1960s, he was a man living a completely double life. The public Lenny Bruce fighting against censorship and the system. The private Lenny Bruce, completely destroyed by heroin, using multiple times a day, his veins collapsed from injecting, his mind and body destroyed. In August 1966, at age 40, he was found dead in his home. The official cause was ruled a drug overdose, though whether it was intentional remains unclear. He had been one of the most influential comedians of his era. He died alone, destroyed by the addiction that had consumed him. 15. Mackenzie Phillips. Mackenzie Phillips played Julie Cooper Willard on One Day at a Time, which ran on CBS from 1975 to 1984. She was famous as a young woman. She was talented. And she was completely addicted to multiple drugs. She was using cocaine regularly. She was using heroin regularly. She was using pills regularly. The combination of substances was creating an unpredictable cycle where she never quite knew what state she would be in from one moment to the next. The addiction progressed through her 20s and 30s. She was arrested. She was fired from the show. She was homeless. She was struggling to find any kind of work because her reputation was destroyed and her health was destroyed. The turning point came when she accepted that recovery meant admitting the full truth about what had happened, including deeply personal and traumatic things she had never spoken about. That honesty eventually led to recovery. But it took decades. 16. Andy Dick. Andy Dick was a comedian and character actor who appeared on television in the 1990s and beyond. His comedy was absurdist and unpredictable. His personal life was even more unpredictable because he was living with addiction that was completely out of control. He was using cocaine. He was drinking heavily. He was using other substances. The combination was making him behave in ways that were increasingly erratic and often violent. He would be charming and then suddenly aggressive. He would be funny and then suddenly mean. The addiction persisted for decades. He was arrested repeatedly. He was fired from multiple jobs. He was banned from venues because of his behavior, but he kept using because the substances had become the only way he knew how to exist. Unlike some others on this list, he never achieved lasting recovery. He continued using for years, continued being arrested, continued the cycle of degradation and desperation. 17. David Cassidy. David Cassidy was a star of The Partridge Family, which ran on ABC from 1970 to 1974. He was a teen idol. He was adored by millions of young girls. And he was also a young man drinking heavily and using drugs to manage the stress of that fame. By his 20s, his addiction to alcohol was severe. He was drinking every day. He was drinking alone. He was drinking to manage emotions that felt unbearable. The alcohol was destroying his liver. It was destroying his relationships. It was destroying his career. He tried to recover multiple times. He went to rehab. He tried to stop on his own. Nothing worked because the damage had become too profound and the addiction too complete. By his 60s, his liver had failed completely. The doctors told him to stop drinking. He couldn't. In November 2017, at age 67, he died from liver failure. The addiction that had started in his 20s had slowly destroyed his organs over 5 decades. 18. Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan was a child actress who appeared in films and television. By her late teens, she was completely addicted to alcohol and prescription pills. She was using daily. She was showing up to events impaired. She was driving under the influence. She was arrested multiple times. Each arrest was a moment where recovery was possible. None of them led to recovery because the addiction was still in control. The public watched her spiral in real time. Every meltdown was documented. Every arrest was news. Every rehab visit was followed by relapse. The addiction was stronger than her will. It was stronger than the consequences. It was stronger than the interventions. The addiction lasted years. She has eventually found stability, but the years lost to the substances are gone forever. 19. Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Grammer played Dr. Frasier Crane on Cheers, which ran on NBC from 1982 to 1993, and then on Frasier, which ran from 1993 to 2004. He was one of the most accomplished actors in the history of television. He was also a serious alcoholic. His addiction was rooted in profound tragedy. His father was murdered when he was a child. His sister was kidnapped and killed. His twin brothers died in an accident. The accumulated trauma created an emotional pain that he tried to manage with alcohol. He was drinking daily. He was showing up to work having not slept, still affected by the previous night's drinking. His personal life was chaotic. His marriages failed. His relationships deteriorated. The alcohol was the constant. He went to rehab multiple times. He relapsed multiple times. But eventually, through sustained effort and genuine willingness to change, he found recovery. The path was longer and harder than most people understood. 20. Marty Feldman. Marty Feldman was a comedian best known for his bug-eyed expression and physical comedy. He appeared on television and in films throughout his career. He was genuinely funny. and he was also seriously addicted to alcohol. He started drinking as a young man, using alcohol to manage the anxiety that came with performing in front of audiences. By his middle years, he was drinking heavily every single day. The alcohol was damaging his body. His liver was deteriorating. His heart was suffering. But he kept drinking because stopping felt impossible. The addiction had become the dominant force in his life. In December 1982, at age 48, he died from a heart attack. The heart attack was directly caused by decades of heavy alcohol consumption. He had made millions laugh. He had also been slowly destroying himself. 21. John Belushi. John Belushi was a comedian on Saturday Night Live from 1975 to 1979 and appeared in films and television throughout his career. He was a force of nature. He was genuinely talented. And he was also living with an addiction that was completely out of control. He was using cocaine regularly. He was using heroin regularly. He was using them together sometimes, a combination that is particularly dangerous. He was also drinking heavily. The cocktail of substances was slowly destroying his body. By 1982, at age 33, the addiction was in complete control. He was showing up to work high. He was behaving erratically. He was making people around him nervous because nobody knew what was going to happen. On March 5, 1982, he was found dead in a hotel room at the Chateau Marmont. The official cause was acute cocaine and heroin intoxication. The substances had stopped his heart. He was 33 years old. 22. Brittany Murphy. Brittany Murphy was an actress and voice performer who appeared on the animated sitcom King of the Hill and in other television and film roles. She was young. She was talented. And she was dependent on multiple prescription medications. She was taking sleeping pills. She was taking anti-anxiety medications. She was taking pain medications. The combination of the medications, all legal, all prescribed, was slowly toxic to her body. By her early 30s, her body was breaking down. She was sick constantly. She developed pneumonia. Her body could not fight the infection because the medications had suppressed her immune system. In December 2009, at age 32, she was found dead in her home. The official cause was pneumonia complicated by medication intoxication. Her husband died 5 months later in the same house from the same causes. The addiction to prescription medications had killed them both. 23. Edie Falco. Edie Falco is an actress who appeared on television and in films throughout her career. Her struggle with alcoholism was less publicly dramatic than many others, but it was just as real and just as dangerous. She was drinking daily. The alcohol was slowly destroying her body. It was affecting her judgment. It was affecting her relationships. She was managing to work, but the work was becoming harder. The turning point came when she recognized that she was approaching a point of no return. She decided to get sober. The decision was hers. The action was hers, and she committed to it in a way that has held for decades. She is now open about her past addiction, using her voice to tell others that recovery is possible, that hitting rock bottom is not the only way to get help, and that choosing to stop before it is too late is a form of strength that many people never recognize. 24. Dustin Diamond. Dustin Diamond played Samuel Screech Powers on Saved by the Bell, which ran on NBC from 1989 to 1993. He was famous as a child. He was beloved. And he was also struggling with addiction that would last for most of his adult life. The specific substances changed over the years, but the pattern was consistent. He was using to escape. He was using to manage the pain of irrelevance that came after the show ended. He was using to fill the emptiness of a life that had peaked at age 15. By his middle years, he was struggling with serious health problems complicated by his substance use. He was also involved in legal troubles. Everything in his life was deteriorating. In February 2021, at age 44, he died from complications of stage IV cancer. The years of substance abuse had left his body defenseless against illness. 25. William Holden. William Holden was a film and television actor who worked throughout a long career spanning decades. He was respected. He was talented. He was also a serious alcoholic who drank heavily for most of his adult life. He started drinking as a young man in Hollywood. The alcohol made the pressure bearable. It made the insecurity manageable. By the time he was in his 40s, he was drinking daily and unable to stop. He managed to keep working, to keep his career going, but the addiction was always there, always pressing, always demanding. His personal life was destroyed by the drinking. His relationships failed. His health deteriorated. He died in November 1981 at age 63. The cause of death was a combination of heart disease and liver failure, both directly caused by decades of heavy alcohol consumption. He had been a great actor. He had also been a man destroyed by addiction. 25 people, 25 different substances, 25 different spirals. But one constant, the addiction was always bigger than the person. The substance was always stronger than the will. And the cost was always, always higher than anyone imagined it would be. Some made it out. Some did not. The ones who made it out will tell you that the only thing that worked was admitting that they were completely powerless against the addiction. They could not think their way out of it. They could not will their way out of it. They could not act their way out of it. The only thing that worked was asking for help and then accepting that help fully and completely. Which of these stories hit closest to home? Leave it in the comments. And if you want more on what was really happening behind the shows you grew up with, subscribe